Sorry. Yep, everything was fine. Okay, hi. What if I told you that you are 5 steps away from a new universe? And let me take you there. And there is a lot of frees in my presentation, so the view free, Nux free, and web free. And my presentation is about the last one. So you're asking, maybe you know Web3, what is this, or maybe not. So I will take you there briefly, and I could describe you what is Web3 in general and in details. So let's start from a Web 1.0. So this is the first iteration of our internet. So when you are thinking about the Web 1.0, this is only the HTML pages, and they look like this. So this is similar that Ramona showed you on yesterday about GIFs and moving around, but that is Web 1.0 is a much simpler. So it's only the HTML with nice links, and this is something like a core for every technology. So the HTML, the web technologies, and when the internet changes, we need to introduce more details, more things that you need to understand. So the CSS and the JavaScript and everything connected it. So this is it. This is the next stage, the Web 2.0. The Web 2.0 is described as something like a new way to doing the stuff. So the social content sites, or maybe the blog posts, or maybe the blog sites, or social networking, or everything connected with the user-generated content. And that was something like a revolution for us. So we could build asynchronous websites, and we could use it something like new possibilities, new technologies. And my presentation is about the technologies. So you are doing right now something like a Web 2.0 applications. So they are centralized. And the centralized way is based on something like this. So you have a concept of a server, and you have a concept of a client. And the client's trying to reach the server. And this is, of course, is the most efficient way to building the application right now, because everything's optimized for working like a client server. And your applications in Nux, in the Vue, and everything you want to use it, using this pattern. So you're building the server for something like serving the content, serving the assets, everything, and we have a client. And this has a flaws, this has a pros, cons, and you could name it, but this is a standard right now. But we have something like a Web 3. And this means it's a next iteration of web, so the internet, this is a new internet. Maybe, I don't know, but this is right now is something like a fork. So like in a GitHub. In a Git, you have a forking the internet. And right now we are building the application Web 2.0, but Web 3 trying to build something new. And Web 3, in general, is individual-oriented. So the Web 3, it's not only about the centralization, but the decentralization. So the nodes, the clients, they are connecting each other. So you don't need the server approach. You don't need this solution. So you could connect between the nodes and between the clients. There is a lot of possibility to do this. And Web3 has something like blockchains. You could connect with peers. You could use it multiple technologies. But for me, it's something like a way to do it, the decentralization. This is a holy grail of Web3. And the main problems between the Web 2.0, Web 1.0, and Web 3 is the speed. So when you look at it on the first page that I show you, the first page of the internet, it's extremely fast right now, because this is only one document with HTML. And when you're looking on Web 2.0 applications, we already seen everything that you had done before, yesterday, on the presentations. You're trying to create the performant websites. And they are really fast right now. But Web 3 is the slowest one of the solutions. So you need to forget about performance, and operations in a Web3 took minutes, hours, sometimes days. So the blockchain operations took sometimes hours. So there is a problem. There is a problem with efficiency and performance. And, of course, another topic. NFTs and crypto are scams. I suppose half of you think that, or maybe not. But this is something like a tool. So in Web 2.0, also you could build the scams websites, the phishing websites. So this is opinionated. For me, it's something like your opinion. And in my opinion, I'm not declared that I'm thinking about it is a scam or not. But let me bring you my steps, and you could decide on your own way to and decide it's a scam or not. And I'm trying to build something like a base application. And the base application, as the title of my presentation, is built in Next 3. Thank you, Daniel, that you're bringing the Next 3 in Monterey the last month, I think so. And I'm trying to build the application with a Next 3. The developer experience is incredible. And my application is pretty complex, as you see it. It's a pool to voting, and you have only the buttons, so you're choosing the favorite color. And when you're clicking on the color, and the magic happens, so your vote is storing on the server, because this is a Web 2.0 application. And this is working like this. So the concept is you have a user, you have a front end, and you have API and storage. So the flow is you are connecting the user with a front end to API, and you are storing the data. So this is a very, very simple application. But this is a problem. I built the centralized application. And the centralized application has flows. As I said before, you have a central server. And I tried to move my application to Web 3. And I figured out that I could do it in 5 easy steps. So the first step is using something like you are using in your applications, and you are used to in your social platforms, on everything that you meet on a daily basis. So they're using the Facebook, Twitter, and for example, I get something like an optimistic UI. So the optimistic UI works that you are clicking on it or something, and everything is done immediately. So this is a quick action on UI. And you could assume that everything is fine, and your server grabs the request, and everything is sort of fine. Facebook works that way, and when you are clicking on the like button, animation that works that everything's fine, I like the post, and everything is okay. So you assume that your like is stored on the servers of the Facebook. But sometimes, when you are building the application, you don't have time to building the optimistic UI, and you have a troubler. So you need to build something like a waiting room for the users. And you are trying to create the smoothest experience. And yesterday, you look on a presentation about the animations and something like doing stuff more smoothly. And this is the way you could do it. And Web3 is really slow. So for me, first step is bringing the user experience on the next level. So you need to use the optimistic UI to cancel the problem of waiting, because as you watch the slide with a speed comparison, the Web3 is slow. And my application, when you are clicking on it, it's working like in an environment with a slow 3G or Edge connection. Will be work that way. You are clicking, you are waiting. But I'm trying to repair that with a simple hack. So the optimistic UI without the libraries, but only the reorganizing the code. And this works like this in the Next 3. So you have a fetch, and you are sending the request. And after this, you are incrementing some answers, and you're incrementing you're counting on the answer index. But when you are trying to build the optimistic UI, you're only switching the order. So you're assuming that the awaiting on a fetch request, it's not important. Of course, it's a naive code, I know. What's going to happen when the server is not response? I don't care. It's only the example. You know, the simple example is the best. OK, so we have an optimistic UI. And the next step is introducing something new. Maybe you hear about it, maybe not. But I want to create something like a feeling that this technology is only at the reaching on your hands. So this is a decentralized state. And decentralized state, it's building on the blocks that you already knew. So the libraries and the tools. And I chose the libp2p and Vue.js. libp2p is something like a collection of libraries, specifications, and protocols in a Web3 universe. And you could use it in a JS, Go, Rust, everything. So it has a lot of possibilities to build a peer-to-peer network. And for us, it's a goal to create the peer-to-peer network. And this is the first thing. The second thing, we are the front-end developers, so we need something on the front-end side. And we have a Vue.js. Vue.js is a library or framework, in a more exactly way. It's a conflict-free framework. So you have something like a shared data in your front-end side. So, for example, you have a state. You have a state between the nodes. And the nodes generate the conflicts because somebody connect to the network, P2P network, and voting on something like answer in my application. But there is a conflict. So when somebody click in on it, and we should create a feeling that everybody working together with that kind of an application. So the Vue.js is working very simple. So removing the conflicts, working in a real time. And you are only the voting and collecting the answers from the different users. OK, so we have an optimistic UI. We have a libp2p with a Vue.js on the front-end side. So what's next? You're asking yourself, what you're going to do with your application to bring it to the Web3 universe a decentralized way. And the next step is a deployment. Everybody talks about deployment on a Netlify or on maybe a cloud or something similar. But in a Web3, there is a solution for deploying on the peer-to-peer network. And this is something like an interplanetary file system. This is a very great name. And IPFS is also a collection of the tools, but this also is a file system distributed in the network between the peers. And this is without the servers. Of course, there is something like a pin services to be something like a servers, but this is working independently also in your local network. And the Netflix used it to distribute the containers for deployment in application development. So this is a not new technology. This technology has about 5 years, I think so. I assume that there's more work to do with that kind of technology, but this is a great solution to introduce the deployment. And this is something more. It's a HYPERMEDIA protocol. So this is a protocol. When you are thinking about the HTTP, this is something similar because you have a different medium to transfer your information, data, the file system, everything. And of course, you could do something like a down-proof websites. And I done with my website. I deployed to the IPFS ecosystem, and I have something like this. So this is a gateway through the HTTP system, and you are getting this, my website, through the IPFS. And this is distributed on the network. And of course, this is only the static website, because the IPFS is for static content, and you are storing the file because this is a file system. And that's it. So we have an optimistic UI. We have IPFS deployed website, our vote application, and we have everything connected with a node communication. So what's next? What's we going to do with our application in the next? And this is an offline approach. For me, offline is decentralized. So you're getting for free because it's already done. Everything works fine. So you could build application working offline already. You're not waiting for Web3. And this is a truly decentralized, because when you are disconnecting the application from internet, you are decentralized. So our application Nux, it's good works with, without the problems with offline, but also you could add more support for this, and you could use the Workbox. So the technology done with Google team, and right now it's open source. And this is a great solution to introduce new possibilities to your application. And of course, you could use it as an offline application, local storage, and indexed DB. This is a great solution to saving the data and your state in your application. Okay, so the last step. So we have a IPFS, we have an optimistic UI, we have a libp2p, and we have an offline approach for our Nux free application. So what could I tell you more? So we have all technological stuff, and I covered everything, but not. There is another problem with decentralization. So the updates and the versioning. This is a huge problem in the applications. So when you have a centralized application, like a web application for, I don't know, the Web 2.0, like Nux 3, Nux 2, you could replace the application on the server and clients connecting to your own application, downloading the new version. And this is easy, because Web 2.0 works that way. But the Web 3 is decentralized. So you can't create something like a possibility to update the content with that kind of a way. So reaching the server and downloading everything. So you should think about the compatibility and the breaking changes. And for that kind of stuff, we introduced the Workbox in the previous step, so we could use the service worker updates. So you could propagate the update in your application. And this is an easy task for Workbox. And the last thing is a IPNS for IPFS. It's something like a naming system. It's similar for DNS. So something like a reflection of Web 2.0 behavior in a Web 3. And this gives you opportunity to name your content, the hooks in the network of IPFS. And semantic versioning, it's only an example. So you already done it with open source code. So you are trying to name the version. So you're treating the versioning as a part of your job. And this is the most important because the breaking changes break the application in a decentralized way. So when you have a major, minor, and patch versioning, that will be much easier for the users. And that's it. So this is surprisingly only the 5 steps, and I'm not mentioning about the blockchain. And I'm not mentioning about cryptocurrencies and NFTs. And this is, I don't know if you are surprised or not. But as I said before, that technologies could be scams. But I think when you're digging into the Web3, like I am, you could observe something like a good tech under the hood. So you could grab it to your projects without involving the problematic cases. So the blockchains and the multiple cryptocurrencies. And the libp2p giving something like a transport field to your ideas. And you could build the decentralized applications. Okay, so I think that's it. So if you want to read more about it, or maybe you want to watch the movie about Web3, you could reach me on YouTube, or maybe you could reach me on Twitter. There is a lot of materials and will be more materials because I'm trying to build something like an example with Next3, implementing everything that I mentioned on that kind of a presentation like you see already today. So thank you very much. And
thank you very much, TKO.
Yeah, and I always try to create something like a feeling that I'm introducing myself on the end of the presentation. So my name is Tomasz Kania Orzeł, and I'm a head of technology in Monterey. So thank you very much again.
Thank you, TKO.